Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Welcome back to Cannon Fodder, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world. You're probably wondering, we're all wearing hats, apart from one person. One
Sorry,
person's not wearing his hat. He couldn't find a hat.
haven't
Why are we
got one.
wearing hats? You'll find out on the other side of this music intro. What I do, the formal introductions. It's the Easy Talk. It's Friday. That's just quite fun. I was just seeing the guys making sure they've watered their palates before talking. But anyway, before we get this particular easy talk this Friday evening, Friday afternoon, Alfie,
Yes,
afternoon.
afternoon.
Yeah, there you go, and a late evening for James Rowe. James Rowe, late evening.
Yeah, coming up
Yeah.
to 20 to 9 local time.
Okay.
Oh,
And forget about tell myself. We're just somewhere smack bang in the middle there. Guys, make sure you subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you can receive all the latest news right here, right now on Cannon for Your TV. Right. It was a massacre. It was a massacre, Alfie. Last night. Villarreal versus Arsenal.
it
Talk me through it.
was one of those. It was one of those games that is supposed to be easy on paper. Uh, we are a much better team in brackets. But yeah, they made it really difficult. I think from the beginning it was going to be a tough game, obviously because of the quality of the team, because of the ex-manager, but also because he meant a lot emotionally for both of the managers and also for certain players. But it was a complicated game, and I think the choice of players to go into that game, it was a bit poor, but it wasn't as bad as it could have been. So I don't know if that's a good thing that they leave us alive, or I don't know, to be honest. We have to wait and see now.
Mm. Eltel.
Yeah, it was. Well, do you know what? The best team won. We've got a lifeline, but I'm a bit worried because the way we're playing. I mean, we might fluke some kind of a two or three goals at the Emirates, but I don't think we actually deserve to go through. And on our current form, facing Man United almost certainly in the final, it could all go belly up big time. So I would never bet against Arsenal winning, and I will always hope that they'll win. But we were outplayed, outmaneuvered, and everybody I've spoken to, I've been around today talking to a few friends of mine who've been following Arsenal for as long as I have, and they've all said that he's trying to play us as Manchester City light. And this experiment with Xhaka at left back has completely failed. And the more he does it, the more he's going to get found out. And we've got, if not an ideal replacement, we've got Saka, who has played there and played for England as a left wing back. So why he doesn't do that? I know he thinks, oh well, I'll have less firepower up front, but in a football match, you stop the opposition scoring, and then if you get a goal, as we did from a corner or a set piece, then you can win all kinds of things.
James, your thoughts about the performance or the lack of the performance from the manager who got the tactics completely wrong and the players just kind of, well, I don't know what the players were doing actually, but your thoughts, James?
Well, my first thoughts were, do you remember the famous saying, look at what you could have won? Where they showed you behind the curtain in a quiz show what you could have won if you'd got the question right. It was, for me, looking about what Arsenal would have become under Unai Emery and what we started to become before we dropped him at the first sign of trouble, and what we are now, and how much time has been wasted. I see a lot of key buzzwords: trust the process, my manager, my G, I believe in him. But time moves very fast in football. The train doesn't wait for nobody. And for people to say about the weight of the away goal, it just goes to show the sheer weight of an away goal where you don't play well, you don't have a game plan, but you score that elusive away goal and it's like job done. Me and Tel spoke about this in the away leg at Benfica. Okay, it was on neutral ground. In the away leg against Olympiacos, where people were clinging on to the away goal. Never mind the performance, it's all about the away goal. We've been on the receiving end of away goal defeats many a time, and I don't think we're in the position now to start saying that that we are an advantage to have that. I think if Arsenal fans was to see players like Pedraza and Trigueros in their starting lineup, they'd have a fit with their leg up. I think it just goes to show the ignorance at European level. For people that don't know, Villarreal were not a poor side, but they didn't reach La Liga until the turn of the century. So they've only been playing in La Liga for 20 years, making life difficult for roughly about the last 15 to 20. And should Unai Emery win the Europa League with Villarreal, I believe it will be his biggest achievement, because our fan base very much, if it's not Barcelona, if it's not Real Madrid, if it's not Bayern Munich, they're not interested. We haven't won a European trophy for 27 years, and I believe next Thursday will be our last European game for quite some time.
Yeah. Good evening, Tim. You finally made it.
Good evening, gentlemen.
Hi,
Harry,
Tim.
how are you? How are you?
Hiya,
How
Tim.
are you?
I'm good,
How are
man.
you?
I'm good.
We're live from the banks of the Shannon here.
Tim, your thoughts about the game last night?
Sorry for being late. I'm only kind of getting new to Twitter, but look. Firstly, the first half was terrible. There's no other way of describing it. Lino, I said last week actually on this show, I said that I felt that if we put Paolo Mari and Holding in front of him, he'd improve, and then he let in a clanger last Sunday. But I tell you, he paid me back in spades last night, because if it went 3-0, it was all over. There was no going back. Like, in fairness, I know I just caught the end of James there. Look, the momentum would have been killed. Now, look, I have even been very, how would I say, conflicted about Ceballos all year. I feel he has too many he's like Iwobi of old. He has a good match, in too many bad matches. But I felt he actually was going well in the last 6-8 weeks. But like last night, now I don't think, I see a lot of people saying, oh, he was targeted. I don't think he was targeted so much as, let's say, he just doesn't have the momentum to get around. He just had the legs to get around. And like, I was always of the opinion that if like the ball, actually, I know I'm moving on to the second half now without finishing the first one, but the last ball that Partey put through for Aubameyang was an unbelievable pass. Like, it was really like through the eye of a needle type stuff. And I was saying, like, if there was someone there, if you were Partey providing that sort of passing, moving forward, then you really do you want a Ceballos type player beside him, or do you want a kind of to use the GA analogy, a destroyer like? So like Eleni, when I saw him coming on last night, it was the first time in an awful long time I said, why didn't you start? Because when he came on, I'm not saying he wasn't on for long, really, he was only on for minutes, but I'm saying if he was there from the word go, there would have been a more destructive error, there would have been a more athleticism. Now, Xhaka was as much at fault for the first goal as Ceballos was, but ultimately they went in at half time. He knew he was on a yellow card, and like, I mean, the worst and the best often if we go back and we remember child prodigies and some of them that didn't make it, every club has them, every sport has them, but like, what you must remember is a lot of players say, well, he couldn't take instruction, and surely Ceballos was told at half time, you're on a yellow card, we're 2 goals down, you have to keep yourself disciplined. And now I understand your man acted up, but he did make contact. It was his second yellow. The referee was pedantic, but he was pedantic for everyone. He wasn't just Ceballos. Next thing, you were in deep trouble. But after that, strangely enough, like, Saka was excellent, and I remember he a couple of balls in the first half. He was really probing, going down the wing, causing really asking real questions, as was Pepe actually on the other side. But I just wanted to stay on Saka for a minute. But Saka, at one stage, I remember he got a ball from Odegaard and he peeled kind of out in the wing. And Odegaard, like, he was obviously looking for someone to take it back off him. And Odegaard, like, almost turned his back to him. It was like he was in a different wavelength. So, in other words, like, those 2 or 3 players kept us in the match. There wasn't even Chambers, Holding, who I think I have sung praises of numerous times. And I think Holding, look, I like my centre halves to be big, aggressive, hitting everything that moves. So that kind of mindset. I mean, really, I know Tony Adams was world class, but like you must remember, there was always a Steve Bold, there was a Martin Keown, there was always other players. There mightn't have been, let's say, what I would call platinum standard defenders, but they were aggressive. And after watching last night and just kind of reading, I think I actually saw Martin Keown made a point that is Gabriel now with Holding maybe a better option. I know Alex is looking at me here. Stop him immediately talking. But no, like that sort of ultra aggressive center of your defense, putting down markers, make them go down the sides. I mean, ultimately, it's old style defending, but defending is still defending. I saw a brilliant picture this week. I meant to send it to Terry, but work has taken over this week a little bit. It was a picture of Ian Wright and with a famous defender Ireland one time called Kevin Moran. And he pretty much, Kevin Moran had Ian Wright by the collar. And let's just say there was no question mark over who was making their point more aggressively anyway. And that type of, like, Ian Wright was a far superior footballer to Kevin Moran. But you can't beat, there's a kind of an evangelist coach one time here in Gaelic games, and he said one time, you mightn't be the most talented, he said, but you can be the most fit, you can be the most disciplined, and as a group, if you're defending well, that is a sign of team unity. Because let's be honest, Aubameyang, Saka, Smith Rowe, Odegaard, so individual brilliance can open up, can actually be very effective in attack. But defense, it's a group game. It's about angles. It's about working with, and it's about trust. And I felt that if we could get a good centre half, and look, I'd say this is probably positive bias, but like I kind of look on Leno as like I kind of like German cars almost, very trustworthy, not very stylish, pragmatic, stoic, get the job done. But he was poor the other night, and only for him, there would be no, like James has already maybe said it could be over Thursday night anyway, but it's not over yet. It's still there. And let's be honest, they have come back from the dead in this competition numerous times. This is the only, now I know Terry often makes a point that Arsenal now a cup team, but some of us love the cup. I'm a GA man. So sorry, Alex. Sorry,
Terry. You should mention Leno, because Leno said exactly what Tim has just said. Leno said we need defenders and midfielders with bite. What?
I want to ask Alfie a question.
Who is Leighton? Who's in front of him?
Alfie, were you surprised not to see Gabriel not start yesterday? You're on mute. You're on mute.
Oh yeah, sorry. Okay, so basically, I was surprised because we've been trying to get the back four together for a long time, and we keep going on about it. And for example, Gabriel started the season very solid, like he had very good performances, but then afterwards he kind of dropped and he was making these silly mistakes and giving away penalties that were unnecessary, and then Mari kind of step up. So it's difficult to find that particular partnership that we're looking for, like the perfect one at least. But Holding, I think it was a bit weak yesterday as well. So I mean, it's not horrible though, because before we used to suffer a lot. Now at least we have the options. Um, but yeah, Shaka on the left side as well. It was poor, but I don't know if you guys saw it. But as soon as Martinelli went in, he was a big support for Shaka, because even defensively, that boy is always running behind that ball and covering his teammates. and that is the attitude that I want from the players, because we know that the quality in our players, the individual quality, is not there. Like, we are having 2 shots on target per game, and that's just not good enough. So, as Tim was saying, if we don't have the quality, then you need to have the discipline and the performance and the team spirit and that hunger and sweating the t-shirt, for the Arsenal, and that's basically what we need. It's complicated though, because yes, we haven't won a game at home without getting a goal for 10 games now. We lost to Everton, that they had been in losing the last 5 games, etc., etc. So it's quite complicated at the moment. But if the quality is not there, they need to start putting the discipline on it.
Before I go to James, Alfie, there's the Arteta outs have been coming out from underneath the rocks. So if he does not win next Thursday, is that it? Is he kaput? Is he?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, because the process is not good enough. And if I saw glimpses of Arsenal trying to play in certain way, that we, like before the comments was, this is the Arsenal way, we try to walk it in. That's what people used to say a lot. Like, the problem of Arsenal is they always try to walk it in. Now we cannot even have the ball anymore. So I don't see why he should continue if the results are not there, and the quality of the game or the identity is just not there. If he doesn't win this cup, he has to go. And we, as Arsenal fans, we have been spoiled a lot. And we're talking about Man United when we haven't even beaten Villarreal yet, and we didn't play a good game. And yeah, we have to go step by step. But if he doesn't make it, he has to go.
Tell.
Yeah. I don't know what's going on here. The fella behind Josh Kroenke, and he's every time I look, he's smiling wider and wider and wider. There's some joke going on here. I don't know what it is.
Does Arteta have to go if he doesn't win on Thursday? Oh, James has come back. James, are you with us?
Are you asking me?
No, technical errors tonight this end. My apologies.
No, that's right. James, does I know you don't like to talk about managers, positions, whether they should be sacked but is his position untenable if the worst were to happen on Thursday?
Well, look at what's above him. I don't hear anyone talking about that. I'm in a privileged position where I interview professional players and managers, and have been doing it for the last 5 years. I spoke to a player today who was playing for an Eredivisie club here in the Netherlands, who looked back on his time at the club with a lot of fondness, but the club was still unstable. Arsenal Football Club is stable. We have a very reactionary fan base where, for some of them, it's not about football. It's about the likes, it's about the retweets, it's about the clout. But in the real world of football, it doesn't work like that. We have a novice man who is learning his trade on the job, and Stan Kroenke put him there. Do you think that Real Madrid, Juventus, Bayern Munich, Ajax, do you think they will all employ a novice at the top level? No, because they are not just football clubs, they are institutions. We used to be one of them. But our standards are slipping year upon year upon year upon year. I've been fortunate to speak to Bob Wilson in the past, and a living Arsenal legend. And he spoke about the Arsenal way. The Arsenal.
Oh, gone again.
Tell, go for it, Tell. I've noticed you've changed your hat. How many times, Tell?
I've got
Yes.
5 changes to go. It's like doing a West End farce, isn't it? Every time you enter the stage, you're wearing something different. Hang on, I've got to put the pièce de résistance on. Listen,
Hey.
a little fact I found out today. I've got all these crazy facts, and I found this out today. I was talking to a guy who's been following Arsenal for as long as I have, and he knows Pat Rice well. And he told me an absolutely amazing fact today. We were talking about the FA Cup win in 1971, the double. And he said, if you remember, it was a very hot day. Very hot day. I can't remember if it went into extra time or not, but I know Highway scored first. And anyway, Charlie George scored the winner. And when the players went in to the dressing room, Pat Rice had an awful lot of trouble with his ankles swelling and his feet swelling. And this is plagued. I didn't notice, but it's plagued him throughout his career. And of course, they'd played, was it 90 minutes or whatever, you know, in phenomenal heat. And he'd run his heart out and he'd run his socks off and his legs off. And when he got into the dressing room at Wembley, he couldn't get his boots off. They were like welded onto his feet. And all the players were undoing his laces and in the end, the kit manager had to find a big pair of scissors and they had to cut the boots off him. There you go. I've never read that anywhere, and this fellow was telling me today. So, and he and I were both swapping crazy stories. And a similar one on the same day. At the time, Arsenal's kit manager was a fellow called Tony Donnelly. And he used to go to my parish, St. Joan of Arc. Lots of Irish in that area back in the 60s, 70s, 80s and so on. And Tony Donnelly's job, as all kit managers, if your team plays at the old Wembley, was about 10 minutes before the end of the game, the scheduled end of the game. Your job is to go into the changing room and turn on the bath taps, because they not only had showers, but they had a big bath that all the players could get into. So Tony Donnelly had gone in, but on the way in, somebody'd given him an absolutely enormous, not a regular size, an enormous bottle of whiskey, Irish whiskey, I suppose. I don't know what they call them, a Jeroboam or something. And he put it down and he switched on the bath and that and filled it up, and then he grabbed hold of the bottle and he heard the crowd roar, and Charlie George scored. And of course he'd forgotten his hand was wet from touching the taps, and as he came running out of the tunnel, you know what happened? The bottle went flying and smashed into 1,000 pieces. There you go. True story.
Yeah.
True story.
Tim, you know, we've just been speaking about Arteta. Is his job untenable if the world...
I don't think his job is untenable in the sense that there's thousands of supporters standing outside last Friday. So in other words, he's probably not the focal point. But there is a question mark over, like, you know, funny thing, there was one stage, I think it was early in the second half or maybe late in the first half, the number of passes came up, and Arsenal had about 40 or 147, and I think Vina had 135, but they had more passes. Now there were 2 goals down at this stage, and I was thinking, Joe, and I do understand now it's a possession-based game. He had no real centre forward. Now I know Smith Rowe was up there, and Joe, there was kind of movement, and he was probably trying to progress up the field. But ultimately, his game or his process, this kind of it's not that it won't function, but it probably won't function with the players he has. Now he is very, very lucky in the sense that the players that would fit into his system are all very young. Emile Smith Rowe, Saka. Odegaard, obviously, and last night, I know I hate to be going back to the same, but like last night, he was 2-0 down, pulled off down to 10 men. Leno saved it from being 3-0, and actually pulled off a reasonably good save just before the point blank save. So it could have been 4, but we'll leave it at 3 for the time being. And next thing, so you'd be hoping by next week that Tierney be back or be more closer to a position. You would hope that you would have a proper number 9, be it Aubameyang, be it like I said, obviously Aubameyang. Like really, Aubameyang, I know he was only on for minutes, and suppose he's not fully recovered, but the ball that Partey it in, the way he turned and the way he struck, it was raw athleticism. It was just world class. Now I know it's only one, but like those players can play the Arteta way. Now, whether the Arteta way, whether you have now, I think he might survive in the sense that there's so much disharmony in other aspects, following on from the failed Super League, that actually he could survive for a bit longer. But you have to ask the question: how much is it going to cost to put a team in place to actually be, how would I say, competitive under that style of football? And I often think about El Tel's point that Oliver Giroud, no, I'm not saying Oliver Giroud, but like he was a very good player, but like a big man up front, someone that can be used attack. In other words, a plan B. And there seems to be no plan B. Like last night, we hadn't plan A, and then we just had plan A -1. It was done like we removed the 9, so we said we'll all go. And like, to be honest, Freddie Lundberg made the point about that Smith Rowe, Joe, he will lead the line, he'd be good. And I believe he tried his best, and at times he looked sharp. But it's an awful responsibility on a young player, and like Pepe and Saka and even Odegaard, they're all that bit young as well. So there's no natural leader. Now, I know Aubameyang can go missing, but Lacazette, I think, is the best of the probably number 9 for the linking up. But definitely last night, and I don't know, people were saying Villarreal were slow and they didn't have the pace of Arsenal. And I didn't really believe that, to be honest. And to be honest, I didn't really even think I saw that until late on, and definitely late on. And I suppose Pepe actually as well earlier, but like they definitely looked under pressure further on. Now, bringing on our former star Francois Coquelin was a look. That to me was, I mean, that really helped Arsenal. So they were gone. They were like sitting deep, taking off centre forward, asking you to come at them. So, and we had the players to come at them. And like, I mean, when it went to 10-0 or 10 aside, then it was a bit more free and easy. There was a bit more room for express ourselves, and we have players that can express themselves. So I think, like, Arteta out, I wouldn't be totally in that camp just yet. And I feel the best thing that's happening for him is that there's so much talk about external matters, as is the politics of sport, the politics of football, that he could survive.
Tim, very quickly.
Yeah.
The second leg.
Yeah.
Can you envisage Villarreal not scoring?
No. This second leg, this is where the problem starts. It's the only thing is that, like, I think Alfie made the point there a few minutes ago. We're conceding goals. We're continuously conceding goals. Like, but if you could get Tierney in at left back, I mean, I know Ceballos was at fault that he came down that side, but Saka, he kept going off and off and off. And like, if he came to your man and made him stand up, they had to play it further out. And that chance now, whether they probably still could have got in, they would have defended a bit further out. Because really, what we did in the first half to allow them get the goals, they nearly did in the second half to allow us get back into the match. But I am a great believer in, and I think Alfie touched on this, that we're not far. Like, I won't say love, it's too strong a word. Let's ease up in the old love here. But I think holding and a kind of maybe an aggressive player beside him, get like Partey could be coming into a bit of form, that put Eleni in there beside him, that if you had a spine down the middle of your defence, like Chambers, even last night, got back, made a few tackles. Now, look, you could have to say, like, lads, we just cannot concede. And like a goalkeeper playing well, a defence that's not that far away from playing well, and really, like, Tierney is Arsenal. Let's be honest about it. Like, I know Saka and Smith Rowe and these lads are the boys are getting the credit, but look, people that get goals always get the. But Tierney has been the main player for Arsenal really all year. If he came back and if he was playing left back, and if you had a proper number 9 above, you have a lot of options. And Pepe has transformed. He's dangerous. They don't want to see him because of the pace. The pure pace. Now, I had to say the handball. I said, what were you doing? If he had just, I mean, literally the ball came over his head. If he had, like, I mean, it was always to his advantage the further it ran. But I know the ground looked wet and it was skidding slightly, but like, if he let it off now, I'd say it was 100% accidental. So I don't want to be castigating him on that. But Saka and himself are dangerous, and they are very much afraid of those. But the big problem is Unai Emery has done this. He's been here. He has bought the T-shirts. For God's sake, he made the T-shirts. Do you know what I mean? He is the man. He's there to get over the line. That's the biggest concern we have. We have a manager who is full of hope, full of idealism, but maybe lacking practicality, while they probably have the exact opposite. And maybe practicality could win out over enthusiasm next week. But I still think it's very much alive. It's very much alive.
So your thoughts for second leg. Do you think if he doesn't get the job done in the second leg, he could be out of a job?
I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, he's not done well, obviously, in the last few weeks, and he's got his brain into it like a tumble dryer, and he's pulling out all the wrong things. He obviously can't think for the sort of pressure that's sort of on him, because if he stops and thinks, the only option we've got in a semi-final is to play Saka. Play Saka at left wing back. That's your only option. Anything else is silly. And he just doesn't. And I do worry about the guys that are around him. That he's got older heads around him there. That Steve Round and so on, Stuyvenberg. Somebody should be telling him what we're saying, because I've been talking to lots of Arsenal fans over the last sort of 24, 40 hours, and we're all saying, get Saka back in there. He's played left wing back for England, for crying out loud. He knows the game. Let him in there. Listen, the golden rule in semi-finals is don't let in a goal. Then anything can happen. You can get a penalty, you can score from a free kick, a corner, but don't let in a goal. And obviously, the moment the team news came out, I was thinking, oh my God, what are they doing? This guy is they are going to go for the space in front of Xhaka, which is exactly what they did. Ceballos couldn't cover it because he hasn't got any pace. It'd be faster if he attached wheels onto his boots and somebody just pushed him around the park. So you had a combination of Ceballos, who always looks to me like he's wearing loose feet. His feet always look loose and they're about to fall off. So you've got him tramping around, stepping on people's feet. And then you've got Xhaka, who is very experienced, but he's not a left back. And he'll never be a left back. So you've got all of that. And within 5 or 6 minutes, exactly what we dreaded happened. Villarreal, it wasn't by accident. They attacked that space. And the two goons we had playing there did exactly what we all expected. And they scored a goal. Now, whether we come back, I think we could come back. Wenger made a very good point, actually, which is that in the second leg of a big match, it's actually sometimes better that you know exactly what you have to do. And we know we have to win it. There's no other way around this. We have to win it 1-0, 2-1, or, we have to win the match. The tragedy is we're leaking goals. So let's assume, and it's probably going to happen, that Villarreal score a goal. Right. So therefore, you've got to go out like we did in Slavia Prague, go out and say, right, we're going to attack them. We're going to have a solid defense, solid midfield, but we are really going to go for goals. And once you get a team beginning to sort of lose goals, suddenly so often it happens, the first goal goes in, and shortly afterwards, a second goal goes in, and maybe a third. So, our job is very clear. The team talk is simple. The team talk is, boys, you've got to go out there. You've got to take the game to them. You're not hanging on to anything. If we had somehow pulled a 2-2 draw, then we could be saying, oh, go out and try and draw it 0-0 or 1-1. But now it's very clear. I doubt if we'll do it. But whether or not we do or not, I can't see Arteta going. He has said enough is enough, but no managers resign these days, because if they do, they've just blown a massive payout. So I think he'll keep going, and I don't think.
Okay. Let's go to live chat. We're going to live chat until
very good.
his Wi-Fi signal back somewhere. under the carpet or somewhere. Anyway, Colin says, "What a good-looking panel. I'm excited." Oh, very good, Colin.
Way.
Very, very good. Hey up, Gooners. Easy on paper. I said yesterday we had no chance. We never play well against decent teams. Alfie.
No against decent team, no against poor teams. Arsenal worst enemies, Arsenal. I don't know why that happens though. We are consistent on that front. Those first 10 minutes of any game are just complicated.
Yeah. But you know what? Tim spoke about having a plan B. The plan B was on the bench. He had 3 strikers on the bench, and he played a false 9.
I don't know. I don't know what was he thinking, to be honest. It's just bad management.
A bit poor. He was clueless. Imagine we're talking about Arteta. Oh dear. Good evening, says the assembled. Good evening, gentlemen. Can anyone think of anything positive about yesterday without stretching your imagination?
Tobias were playing in the second leg.
Yeah, fair enough. Yeah.
Guna Matters, good evening, says good evening, Alex, and the panel, guests. Hope you're all well and your families are well. And let's keep India in our thoughts and prayers for the lost lives. Yeah, terrible tragedy over there. Masame says, I'm tired of getting excuses every time, as Arteta did. Also, Alex, good evening. Good evening, everyone. He says, outmanaged. Oh, outmanaged? Outmanaged? To hotel? What do you mean, Colin? What do you mean? What does it mean? I got no idea. No idea. Less firepower up front. Do we have any firepower up front? Well, we do. We just don't use it.
On the bench, yes.
Yeah, on the bench. Yeah.
We got the best attack on the bench.
Yeah.
Man of the match for Arsenal was the referee giving us an away goal.
Yeah, that was a bit weird.
Yeah. Manchester United, Chelsea, Leicester all have new managers, all doing well. Arteta has no clue. He puts the names in the hat and pulls them out to pick the team. Leno will be striker next week.
And he assist about 3 weeks ago.
I found a hat.
Oh, yeah. Very good.
Put the names in. Dearie me. Who else do we have? Urban Ghost says, hi, fellas, and hi to you.
Hello.
Better get my hat. I feel left out. It's an exclusive club over here, Urban Ghost. That's what it is. That's what it is. Patrick Kelly goes and says, even gents, I just can't understand this manager. A false number 9, a false right. Biggest game in his managerial career. 3 strikers, 2 natural FBs on the bench. Tim, what's going on? What's going on, Tim?
Well, I just go back to the firepower on the bench. Definitely, like I'd say Aubameyang isn't right. Like he's not right. There's something like 27 players gone to Spain. I think, to be honest, now I know this might seem a bit maybe, but I think he realizes we got out of jail. We're over here. We're everything in for this next week. And why would I bring Aubameyang on if I got 2-1? If I can hold out, get a bit of game time into him, get a week's training. Like, I mean, malaria, I know nothing about it, obviously. We're all very concerned about illness at the moment in other aspects. But, like, if you could get him on the field and get players providing, because they do look, like Partey even look better without Tobias. Now, this is an awful thing to say to a player. Like, I was actually making a note. I was looking at it. But I think my note was, would you put Elneny or Xhaka beside Partey? And then I said, or just no Tobias. In other words, anyone but him kind of scenario. But ultimately, if there was a breaker, if there was a physical presence, and you were starting putting, they had to be on the if you had putting kind of incisive passes through the middle of their defense, you're in trouble. Because they're in trouble, because I do feel we have an attacking element if Aubameyang was fit. If he's fit, and he has that. And let's be honest, I still think that without a doubt, look, he's not Thierry Henry, he's not that stuff, but he does have a real element of class. I know we're all concerned about flashy cars and lifestyle, and look, this captaincy thing is a bit of a joke, but he does have athleticism. He can get goals, and no more than any player that ever was. They see semi-finals. They see I'll get to the final. There won't be much motivation involved here now. He's a professional footballer. He would see himself. I want to get out. I want to play in this final. Start me and give me the ball. Joe, it's kind of if we could get ownership further up the field, that these young players' energy could be somewhere rewarded, you could easily open these players up. And El Tel made a vital point. The best thing that happened was we didn't get a 2-2 draw, because now we're going for the win. It's the win or nothing. I mean, actually, I remember when I saw Francois Coquelin come on last night, I immediately thought of the cup final against Aston Villa. He was playing that day. And I remember Mertesacker and Lauren Koscielny were the centre halves. But I remember that day, and I think Arsenal were on when I thought this was going to be a new Arsenal. This was going to be the next league title was only a year or two away. Now, obviously, that never happened. But often little moments, little things can come out of little small decisions. And that goal last night, really, it wasn't a penalty, but Saka played for it. He drew your man and he went over. And they were afraid. It was I know we say physically we had him with speed, but for a finish, mentally, your man was afraid. He didn't know what to do with Saka. Saka was going up and down that wing all night. This guy's coming in. I'm going to foul him. What I compared it to was the penalty that Gabriel gave against Fulham. I often remember that penalty, and he jumped in. He put his two hands back like this as he gave away the penalty. And I was saying that to me reflects a player with zero confidence. And that's kind of what I think they're damaged this morning. They're a lot more damaged. And I know Unai Emery has this colossal reputation, but I'd say if you were in Villarreal in the training this morning, you were thinking, well, I don't know, did he have the master's touch yesterday? While Arteta, by default or by design or just plain luck, he could have a much stronger team on the field next week. If he gets his defense a bit tighter and he gets a proper centre forward that's going to actually cause penetration and give an outlet for all this creativity we have, you could win this game. And I'm repeating myself now, but El Tel's point, we need a win. Nothing focuses the mind of athletes or teams like we need a win. So, and that could be and it could be a sign, actually, that how much do these players really respect Arteta? We often hear about, he's great and he's enthusiastic and he's everything. Well, now you show it. He needs this win. He needs to get to the Europa League Cup final. Are you going to do it for him? The question is back on the players now. Is my belief.
Okay. Just last one before we go to the next point. Alex, the man who wears many hats. I've got a few. Guys, there's been some more news gathering momentum in regards to Spotify guy. Yes, apparently he's saying he's going to table Alfie. He's going to table a £1.8 billion offer to buy Arsenal.
Ooh.
Alfie, Spotify guy, how realistic is this going to happen?
I don't know, because I was one of the first guys to mention it in the chat, just to say, hey, listen, this guy just came out and said, I might just buy Arsenal. The thing is, if you look at him and the money that he's worth 6.4 billion or something like that, which is a lot of money. And I said, yeah, maybe. And then someone said, no, maybe he's just trying to boost his brand and just jump on the bandwagon because, of the Super League is complicated, so he just wants publicity. But he doesn't need publicity. Everyone uses Spotify around the world nowadays. He definitely have the cash. And the other day with the interview that he made for Sky, he was very, very passionate about it. And they say, hey, listen, are you not angry about what's going on with the management at Arsenal? And he didn't want to say anything because I feel like he wants to have like a good relationship with the Cronkies so they can sell. He said, I put the money for it. I'm really interested. And that gives me hope. The problem is like, for you to be able to buy something, the other person needs to, like, they need to want to sell, and that's the difficult part because we don't know if they want to sell or no. Probably not, but hopefully he has enough.
Eltel, what's that in your head, mate?
I need more heads.
I must apologize. I must apologise. I can't get words out of here. I'm sorry that my signal went down about 10 minutes ago, and I think it might be the International Space Station just went over. It's happened to me in a place called Cappaban in County Clare. You'd just be watching
very
something,
good.
the next minute the signal goes, and Kevin would say to me, "Oh, that's the old, God rest him, that's the old International Space Station. It's just gone over." God bless him.
Is it still alive, Tel?
Well, no, it's a new stuff I'm taking to stop. It's made from duck poop, you know.
Oh, Jesus. Oh, my good God.
You see, Tim, this is what happens when you support Arsenal for too long.
Yeah.
People go mental.
Wait till he gets a couple of years supporting Clare.
I'll tell you what makes it worse is Alex and myself have done this kind of stupidity in front of children, and they completely accept it. They go, "Oh, that's fair enough. Those two are off on one again."
That's the norm.
Oh, dear. Oh, goodness.
Duck.
What are we talking about? Oh, yeah, Daniel Eck.
Oh, the lovely Daniel Lake.
Oh, what the
Daniel
heck?
Duck.
Egg.
Yeah, well, he
Egg.
just a second. Stop it, will you? Stop it. No, you can't do that. You get off. No. As I was saying about Daniel Eck, my biggest worry is his best mates, or he's a very good friend of Mark Zuckerberg. And I really am, although I'm on Facebook and I meet lots of old schoolmates there, it's like a lot of this social media, which of course a lot of people are going off for this weekend to support Black Lives Matter. And it's very worrying because obviously they've got an algorithm checking everything you're putting up on Twitter or Facebook. And I happen to mention something about a little place that Tim will know well, a place called Ogunalo. And the next minute, Ogunalo Gaelic Games Association were trying. It suddenly appeared on my sort of Facebook page. So it just proves that they're watching you, they're getting data on you, and that didn't happen by accident. Now, there's all kinds of shady things going on with Mark Zuckerberg, and he's in and out of court on a regular basis. So I would, caveat emptor, I would worry now that we've got this Daniel Eck. If he's friendly with Mark Zuckerberg, that's not a good sign. You know a man by his friends and the company he keeps. And just to get serious for a minute, it's worrying because, you know, we could easily step out of the situation we're in now, where we're basically a puppet. That's why I was wearing a puppet. We're basically a puppet of Stanley Kroenke, but I don't want us to be a puppet of Daniel Eck. I mean, Boris Johnson has said that he'll look at the law. But of course, he says an awful lot of things, and we can't trust him either. Is there anybody left that we can trust? You know, but if we were to get this 50% plus one, and it's as I think I explained on a previous program, it's not necessarily, you can have somebody that owns the club, but big votes must go to 50% plus one, and that will always be owned by the fans. So it stops the club lurching off into crazy ways at the just because an owner wants us to sort of join a Super League and so on. So I think there's a lot of water to flow under the bridge, and I mean, I'm lucky enough to have been around when Arsenal were owned by proper custodians, but unfortunately, once the big buck came in, our custodians took the big buck, and we are left in a very tricky situation.
Tim, Daniel Ek.
Yeah, Daniel Ek. Well, Brian Kerr said last night on RTE, he said that the old playlist or the old introductory warm-up songs would be way better if Daniel Ek was in charge. But I'm thinking more serious. Like, ultimately, like I remember, like, really, like, Stan Kroenke is probably, the Glazers are probably the worst, but Stan Kroenke is very close second. So, in other words, they represent like the worst of what of who should be running a football club. In comparison, let's say, like, I know John Henry in Liverpool was also part of this beautiful Super League, but like, he has invested money. He enjoys competition. So he's associated with whatever the Boston Red Sox finishing their drought. He's associated, with Liverpool winning their first league in whatever 30 years. So in other words, he's a naturally competitive. He likes well, I don't see that in Stan Kroenke. Now, Daniel Ek, on the other hand, if he is what he says he is, an Arsenal supporter, and now I do believe it until I don't think it probably. I think like there's a lot of future developments to go through, and he's talking about like leverage and really just generating finance, which is very, very, very shady, very similar to what the Glazers did to Man United. But going back to just have a look at it, like I remember Joe, when the problems really started last week or last 10 days ago now, like Man City and Chelsea pulled out early. They were gone, they didn't care. And the reason they didn't care was that their billionaires have so many billions, it doesn't matter. So in other words, they, like oligarchs and maybe you could even say oil nations, or maybe even small bit of sports washing in the case of Man City, that all that isn't that doesn't really, the money isn't a big issue for them. It signs on financial fair play. They've been really playing with that. They've been getting. But if Daniel Ek was a genuine Arsenal supporter, wants to come in, and let's be honest, tech is the new oil. This is where these are the companies that are going to be expanding. They're going to be getting more income. But there's also and he's only 38 actually, which I was surprised to see that. So he's young. Whether is he enthusiastic? Now there is, of course, Freddie Ljungberg and Anders Limpert. There is a kind of a Swedish connection with Arsenal, and I'd say he was kind of around the time George Graham won his second league, or maybe slightly after that, from the time the year they did the FA Cup and League Cup. I'd say he was around that time. Eddie McGoldrick, actually, I remember, was playing, the last Irish player I'd say ever to play for Arsenal. But anyway, they were that was his era. So in other words, he has grown up, and he has he has these heavyweights, the Invincibles. They're backing him. They have like Vieira, Henry, like Bergkamp. These are really I saw him described as not the greatest players of Arsenal, but possibly the greatest players of the Premier League. So these are people that, their reputations are on the line. They wouldn't probably be associating themselves with bids if they were just kind of to relaunch his own brand. So there probably is a genuine interest, but the Kroenkes are not going to sell, in the sense that they are in this strictly for the money. They've proven that they got a brilliant club. They got a club that was really, a small bit away from maybe like Arsene Wenger, for all his success, probably covered over a multitude. Like they weren't investing. There was no kind of, after they won those 2 or 3 FA Cups in the mid 2014, 2015 along there was no further investment to make it up that they could challenge for a championship. And that's been the way for the last number of years. They're kind of shoving Arsenal further down. And the fact that he was one of the vice chairs of this European Super League or whatever, he was looks very bad. Like I mean, you can understand in the sense that Joe Arsenal like were, let's say, uh, Real Madrid were seen to be driving it, but like Arsenal, United, Liverpool, and Juventus were the next kind of big players of this, and that's a real sign that they were only in it for the money. So that if that was their motivation 2 weeks ago, it was still their motivation today. That's the problem. Is that they are not 1.8 billion. They're not going to move 1.8 billion and maybe even 2.8. So they're going to try and squeeze everything out of it. And for I've seen Stan Kroenke was described as the most hated man in Missouri one time. So if you're the most hated man in Missouri, and don't get me wrong, I think you were there, Alex. Like the protests in Arsenal last week were very impressive. They showed, there's a genuine interest that people are very disheartened by what's happening, that a former great club is being ran down. And like Jens Lehmann was actually on talking about the 50 plus one, that scenario, and he was saying like, Joe, it's not all roses, but it is. That means that probably it is the reason Bayern Munich did not get involved in the Super League, that they knew this thing wouldn't wash. Like, so they were like, and I'd say the reason PSG didn't get involved was that their owner, one of their major backers, is involved in beIN Sports. So they were the reason. So in other words, but going back to your question, Daniel Ek, he's the right age, he's in the right industry, but I still think Terry has it summed up. There's a lot of water flowing under that bridge before he'll be sitting in the old director's box. So that's my own belief. But look, it sounds good. It sounds impressive. I mean, when you consider, I remember do you remember Newcastle were being sold there the last summer, and the guy that was buying it, he had a painting worth the same amount as he was going paying for Newcastle. While this is a different ballgame altogether. Like the numbers here are colossal. The club is worth a lot, and it was like Arsenal. I was even talking about it. I remember this last week that the first Invincibles, like David Dean was on, I think it was Match of the Day last week. The first Invincibles that I remember, I can't remember the one, the Preston North End one, but the first Invincibles I remember were the AC Milan Invincibles, the Dutch, Hullet, Rijkaard, Van Basten, and then Arsenal matched it. They with this French connection. So it's youthful. That kind of he was brought up on that. So he was a relatively kind of mid-teenager when all these players started arriving, when they started playing open, attractive football, and maybe that's your job. It's amazing what the interest people have, and he is now Spotify. I'm sure it's not faultless, but it's surely an awful lot. How would I say, fair way of making money than sports washing from oil-rich nation states. Like, so I think. But like unfortunately, I love what happened, but I think it's a long way out yet.
We are back in Premier League action on Sunday against the Magpies. Yes, Newcastle, who are somewhere near the bottom. We'll go around quickly. Thoughts? If you want to give a prediction, please. If you don't want to, I still want a prediction. Alfie.
2 goals from Willock. No,
Hey,
no, the thing is, yes, go ahead.
Willock can't play. He's part of the sort of loan deal is that he
definitely no, of course no. But no, to be honest, it's a difficult prediction because it's difficult to bet on something that it doesn't matter anymore. The Premier League is done. It's going to be a game just to entertain ourselves while we wait for Thursday. That's basically what it is. Hopefully, we will win, and hopefully we will have a decent game. Hopefully we won't make it hard on ourselves, just giving goals away and things like that. So hopefully, it's gonna be an entertaining game. I want to see that. I want to see Arsenal controlling the game. I don't want to see, first half random. We don't know. We're tracking back, or I can't believe it. Like, we're actually playing good. It's just I don't want the surprise anymore. I want a consistent team. It's difficult with the selection of the team at the moment, with the injuries as well. I don't want to see, for example, Tierney to be rushed because it's unnecessary. So hopefully he will be okay for Thursday. But yeah, it's just a game that we shouldn't be in. Like, we should put everything on every single game, and to be excited for the next game as we always have. But I don't remember when was the last time that I saw, oh, there is a game on Sunday and I'm not interested because nothing is happening.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
Yeah.
Hopefully we will win. I would say like 2-1.
Okay. Tell your thoughts very quickly before we wrap up this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think Arteta will be planning who he plays next Thursday, and then he'll work back from that, and then he'll say, right, please God, he doesn't play Tierney against Newcastle. Just save him for the match next Thursday, and he'll just play some of the younger lads and a few that haven't played for a while. And I personally, I'd be telling him, listen, I've been driving you hard tactically. And you've heard enough of me talking now. I want you to just go out. I'll show you the basic setup, whether it's 4-4-2 or 4. What might he do? 4-2-3-1. But if it were me, I wouldn't overfill their heads with tactics now, because you're going to have some young kids out there. Say, go out, express yourself, take the game by the throat, and don't hold back. Go for it. And if you play well, you're going to be in my plans for not only the match on Thursday, but in all the rest of the league games this season and next season. So give him a carrot to sort of go for. And let's face it, if he does play some of the young lads, maybe Balogun, and Balogun starts to score, we've had this with County Clare. Just before the All-Ireland final, we had this guy, what was his name again? Shane O'Donnell. And I was sitting there in the Hogan stand, and a fellow turned to me, and before the players took the pitch, he said, this Shane O'Donnell's a goal scorer. And we've probably got one of them in Balogun. Well, give him a run out. And if he scores, say, 2 or 3, I mean, Shearer scored a hat-trick on his first league game. It was for Southampton against Arsenal. So get Balogun out there, and if he starts knocking the goals in, then you've got an immediate possibility of playing him on Thursday. But I would have thought Arsenal should be too good for them, and I would hope. Hey, we keep letting in goals, but I'm going to take a punt here, and I'm going to say we're going to keep a clean sheet and score 2 or 3 goals.
Impossible.
Before I go to Tim,
got my
there's a
head
couple
on
of comments.
Yeah.
Before I go to Tim, there's just been a couple of live comments. Again, I do apologize for everyone who's come in the live chat. On an East Talk, it's very difficult to read all the comments. We'll be here until the cows come home. And the cows, as you know, they never come home. But anyway, Jesse says a forced Arsenal team that have a forced manager who want to compete in a forced Super League. Arteta, you are fired. Then my moderator for the evening says, hey up, Gooners, let's have lots of thumbs up and smash the subscribe button. All are welcome to the Cannon Freud TV Mental Asylum. Thank you for that, Ashley. Alfie, what do you mean, yeah?
Yeah, crazy. It's just crazy to follow this team. It's not good for your heart. It's not good for your mind. It's just not good for your, mental health.
And the last one's from the English Conversation Club. They've pledged £5. Thank you very much for that.
Yay.
Who would manage Arsenal if Arteta was sacked? Good show, guys. I think we'll enter that question maybe on another podcast. But Tim, your thoughts? Sunday, the
I think
Magpies.
Arsenal. Look, there's a big gap. I'm going to agree. I'm going to agree with both my fellow contributors that we'll win. But I'm going to go for 1-0. And I tell you, there could be a small celebration here in the west of Ireland if we saw 1-0 at full time, because it'll bring a tear to any man's eye at this stage. But if they could get a goalkeeper and a centre halves and that were to hold out what I would class as a inferior defence to Villarreal for 90 minutes and get a good goal. And like I said, Balogun, anyone really, Partey hasn't yet to get a goal. Someone like that'll give him a bit of a G up, and ultimately a win generates its own momentum. Now Arsenal, as I said to someone recently, the great thing about being inconsistent is that they're neither consistently good nor consistently bad. So there's kind of a probability that they probably will win. But so I think they'll win. I'd say 1-0, possibly. I'm being a bit hopeful there, and I'd say Alfie's probably closer to the truth with his 2-1 prediction, because that'll probably. But I think we'll win. We're a good bit better than they are. There will be a bit of rotation, I'd say, with Thursday night in mind. And like you say, rotation, giving youth its fling. You never know what could happen. And Terry has highlighted another GA and other sports that young fellas come in. Next thing they generate their own enthusiasm, and it's very hard. There's always that element of the unknown. Like Pepe from last night. I mean, we remember Pepe around Christmas. There, it was very bad. Joe, he wasn't playing well. It was like last night in Villarreal. They were wondering what the hell is this? That we can't stop him. Like, he looked deadly. So there could be another kind of pacey player. And I still think Pace will win this. Pace could win next Thursday night. If you get Pace coming up the wings and how to say, decisive passing through midfield, it could be very close to beating Villarreal. And I think, Arsenal win 2-1. But I would, like I said, celebrate a 1-0 win.
Alfie, I think Alfie was probably joking. If Willock was eligible to play against his parent club, do you think he would score against Arsenal, Alfie?
I think he's playing with more passion at the moment than when he was at Arsenal. He has a point to prove. If that was the case, I think there's a big possibility that he would score against us, because we're conceding goals. And actually, that's the kind of attitude that I want to see Pepe. Like, Emery came out and say, I didn't want Pepe. I don't think he's good enough. I wanted Saha. And I think he took it personal yesterday, and that was the idea. Like, he wanted to prove something. But that's an attitude that I want to see from that player, the most expensive player in Arsenal history, every single week. Not because one manager told you that he didn't want you. So yeah, I think that Wheeler would be dangerous if he were able to play.
Yeah.
But obviously, I want Pepe to have that revenge against Emery.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Guys, we'll come to an end. We'll come to an end on this one. The Easy Talk.
Alex, can I do a quick
mental
mention
asylum?
of hat? The reason we're wearing hats was I had a birthday there during the week, and my son didn't tell me, and suddenly I got this package from Germany, and I thought, oh, this could be tricky. And what the heck am I going to get from Hamburg or somewhere, And I opened it up, and my son has obviously seen this a few times, and he thought, I'm going to get Dad a cannon fodder cap. So there you go. You can they are available in different colours. So, if your better half wants to go online, you can find them. I chose this. I just thought it was a nice neutral colour, but you can get it in red, you can get it in blue. And it fits lovely. It fits all head sizes, which is just as well. And very comfortable, cheap at twice the price.
Cheers, Tel. I think I'd even have to pay Tel to promote the merchandise. Tel, happy belated birthday, and enjoy your merchandise.
Thank you
for that.
Thank you
for that. So that's it. We'll come to an end on this particular Easy Talk on a Friday night, Friday afternoon, and Friday afternoon.
Afternoon.
Afternoon. You go. The time zones. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Again, I do apologize. I couldn't read all the live comments. On this one. And I remember back in the day, Tel, doing the Easy Talk, it was like maybe one man and his dog just commenting in the live chat. Yeah.
That's right.
And we've come a long way.
Right.
We've come a very, very long way. But anyway, if you guys enjoyed this Easy Talk, make sure you subscribe, be a part of this community over here. I think we're just on the verge of 11,000 subscribers. And that's only on YouTube.
Wow.
That doesn't even include Facebook or Twitter. Wonderful stuff. Wonderful stuff. So before we end this one, I want to say thank you to Tim. Thank you so very much.
Happy birthday, Harry.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
From all in County Clare.
Alfie, cheeky chappy. Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me back, guys. It's always a pleasure to talk. crazy stuff with you.
Crazy stuff. We only talk crazy stuff. That's what Arsenal does to us, turns us crazy. Godfather, Richard Godfather, again, thank you again. Know that we'll be seeing you very, very soon back on Channel 4 TV. And
Thank you.
And that's it.
Nice to see all my friends here. And Tim, I hope to see you at some point during the summer.
Well, we'll definitely, and we have to go on a bit of a tour.
Absolutely.
Very much so. Alex, thanks for the invitation.
If you've been wondering who or what you've been listening to, an asylum, the cannon fodder. Yeah, the channel for Arsenal fans all over this world.